Hello, hello, and salutations, my friends. Today, I'll be gracing you all with my review of Pinball Breeze, and this game was developed and published by Sligware LLC on March 28th, 2025. So, Pinball Breeze is, well, a pinball game that focuses on a relaxing yet goal-oriented experience that offers something a bit different from the standard pinball experience while maintaining that familiar feel of a classic. And what sets this game apart from normal pinball would be that it has a sort of experimental approach in making an emphasis on customizing the board, aiming towards objectives, and using a tilt-based system that makes shots a bit more forgiving. And you can also start with 3 pinballs for a more forgiving run, or really test your skills with just 1 pinball. But honestly, if you expected this game to have a story of any kind, then you'll be sorely mistaken, as this isn't that type of game. But the game focuses purely on its core pinball gameplay, and that isn't a bad thing in the slightest, but obviously that means we'll need to skip the story section and just go straight into gameplay. Going into Pinball Breeze's gameplay, it gets you into the action fairly quickly, while instantly throwing the previously mentioned concepts your way. And once you select the one of 9 different tables that you have within their respective environments, you're given the option to customize your board. And you do this through using the game's build mode, where you can place extra paddles, bumpers, and even some new mechanics like the attractors and repulsors in any unoccupied spot. And this table modification isn't just for show, as it's sort of designed to help you with those hard to reach objectives and basically climb through the leaderboards. And you can also copy another player's modified layout to see how they've achieved their high score and maybe even improve upon it. Also, when it comes to launching the ball, the game ditches that traditional plunger that you know from the arcades where you just pull it back and it goes pow pow and shoots the pinball. For this one, it's just a turret mounted cannon that lets you choose your starting angle as it rotates back and forth. And from here on out, it's essentially your normal game of pinball. However, it does have a bit of spice to it, as each of the 9 tables have their own objectives that you need to complete, and you need to complete this to open an exit rather than just constantly aiming for a high score. And this is pretty interesting, I'd say. And there's also the tilt mechanic I mentioned earlier that allows you to sort of take a break from the traditional pinball and have more agency over your shots. The tilt mechanic in this game acts as a sort of nudge in either the left or right direction with a short cooldown, and this adds more control, as I said, over the ball and allows you to have a more active approach to pinball. And speaking of new ideas, there's also plenty of new additions to the boards, as the previously mentioned attractors and repulsors are in the game to manipulate the ball's gravity. And you also have the cannons that I also mentioned for launching the ball in specific directions, and you also have double-sided slingshots that allow you to ricochet the ball in different directions, which I've seen a bit of in the actual pinball games in the arcades physically, but not too often. And yeah, that's sort of like everything that goes together to create your refreshing new take on pinball. But now, let's just go into my personal thoughts. So I have to say, the physics in Pinball Breeze honestly feel fantastic, because the ricocheting off the ball, off the slingshots, the hugging curves at high speeds, and using the momentum to get those big hits off the flippers feels extremely satisfying. And also the ability to modify the tables is pretty interesting, and I think it's a great addition to the game because there isn't really much control over your ball inside of normal pinball, and I think that this is one of the things that pinball has been missing for the people that still play pinball, which I do from time to time whenever I go to an arcade. I think it's pretty fun to also experiment with the different layouts of the pinball tables and see how it affects the gameplay and how it could help you achieve the trickier objectives that are just a bit harder to get. And the tilt mechanic that the game has is also another welcome addition, as when you play other pinball games, again, you don't have enough control. When you hit your ball with a paddle, it just sort of loses all agency once you hit it off the plunger. It just sort of goes in whatever direction it goes into. And I understand that's just how the game works, but I really enjoy being able to nudge the ball in a certain direction in this game. And as a goal-oriented person, I sort of need objectives in my games. I can't just sort of go sandbox mode and do whatever. I need to have a sort of goal to go towards. And I have to say that this game definitely fits the bill on that with its objectives that you can find on each board, as it gives you a clear focus on what to do beyond just high scores, and it makes each table feel like a puzzle to solve. And the reason why I'm calling it like a puzzle is because trying to figure out the best way to use the table's features both in the standard mode and with the one ball mode is pretty cool towards completing the objectives, and it adds a layer of strategy that just isn't present in traditional pinball. However, my only gripe would be how hard the one ball mode is. Like, trying to achieve all the objectives while only having one life is just so painful. But I'll get into that more in the achievement hunting section of the review. But yeah, it's a more relevant issue there, I have to say. But taking a break from discussing gameplay, I have to say that visually, Pinball Breeze offers a really unique charm with its focus on the relaxing environments. Instead of the typically loud and like obnoxious arcade atmosphere, you're kind of presented with a chill vibe and almost ASMR-like soundscapes here. And the three main environments that you'll find yourself in, the billiards table, the beach, and the galaxy, are honestly really engaging. With the billiards, you have that sort of feel of being inside of a, I don't know, what would you call it? A place where billiards are played. I don't know, what do you call it? But it just feels very old-timey, and it feels like you're just sort of gliding across the smooth felt tabletops of the billiard tables. And I think that is a nice vibe overall on those rounds, I should say. And when it comes to the beach, I'd say that the beach was pretty cool too, because you could see yourself drawing lines in the sand with your pinball, and the sun actually sets while you're completing your objectives, which adds a bit of dynamic feel to everything. I also think that the galaxy levels are honestly one of the most visually impressive, as I love galaxy backgrounds, and I think that they added features to it that just look really nice, like planets rotating around a central axis, or just, I don't know, these intergalactic train cars rotating around the sort of game. It's really weird to explain, but I'm sure in some of the footage you can see that. But yeah, the galaxies look really good, and they have a lot of charm to them. And I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, but on one of the final levels, you actually have a sun in the middle of the entire board, and you can hit the sun to the point it becomes a black hole and it collapses. And it also changes its brightness type, like it goes from like a yellowish orangish sun into a white star that then collapses it on itself. And I think that's a really nice attention to detail, and it looks great. And hopping off of the graphics, I say that the sound design also complements this chill aesthetic with its unique sounds for each environment, like the lapping waves on the beach or the hum of cosmic clockwork. And I think the impact sounds of the balls hitting the different elements also feels weighty and just overall satisfying. However, one downside of the artistic presentation of this game would be that it lacks any sort of music. Like, there's literally nothing. I didn't hear a single bit of music in the entirety of the game, and it feels very noticeable. Like, something is just missing when you're playing the game, and I think that music would add a ton to the atmosphere of the game. I understand that the ambient sound effects that are placed throughout the game is supposed to give a feeling of relaxation and that sort of like ASMR like vibe, but it just makes the board in the room feel like a empty void because there's just no background music. And honestly, that's just kind of a shame. However, when this game comes to achievements, I'd say that while I really would like to recommend this to achievement hunters, I don't. Do not play this game if you're an achievement hunter. Because while getting around half of the achievements will likely come naturally as you explore the different tables and mechanics, there are the other half of the achievements that are absolute hell. And the reason why I say this is because the single ball mode. While I understand that the developers were going for a sort of game mode with harder difficulty and just one shot at getting everything, I think that this paired with the achievements, while also completing every single board in the game, weren't really made with people actually achieving these goals in mind. The normal 3-ball mode is challenging enough to get all of the objectives in, but the 1-ball mode just makes you feel anxiety while trying to hit all of the objectives of the board before your inevitable death, which you'll have plenty of. And if the game purely relied on skill, then this challenge wouldn't be the worst, but the physics of pinballs aren't exactly always in your control. This means that any uncontrollable physics event can lead to either more time on the board or your entirely unpredictable end. For instance, I've had many times where the ball is just rapidly speeding up between two objects and it just launches itself straight into my dead zone at a speed that most humans can't even react to. And the lack of control over what the ball does in certain instances just makes this one ball achievement a test of luck and patience alongside skill, rather than just a pure test of skill, which is honestly very frustrating. And this isn't even a matter of me being bad, as I'm literally first or second place in most of the one ball maps, and most of them also don't even have anyone who has completed them, so I guess that further proves my point about the one ball mode being so hard. And honestly, even the developers themselves haven't completed these maps in this mode, according to the leaderboard, so yeah, make of that what you will. So if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'll be able to get all achievements anytime soon, but I guess I can make an attempt at doing so in the following months, one board at a time, and I'm slowly chipping away at it, so we'll see how it goes. So in the end, Pinball Breeze offers a refreshing and experimental take on the classic pinball formula. I think that the customizable playfields, new mechanics like the attractors and repulsors, and the tilt system just really encourage experimentation, and I think it offers a different way to engage with pinball. I also think that the focus on objective-based levels adds a welcome layer of strategy, and the chill ASMR-like soundscapes and the unique environments create a distinct and relaxing atmosphere. And while the lack of music is still an issue for me and the one-ball achievements are hell, I'd say that the core gameplay and innovative features make this game a compelling experience for both pinball veterans and newcomers alike. However, don't get me wrong, I am not forgetting how hard this is for Achievement Hunters, so that is significantly going to affect the Achievement Hunter score. So due to these factors, I'll be giving Pinball Breeze a 4 out of 5 for casual players and an absolute 1 out of 5 for Achievement Hunters. This is a difficult game to Achievement Hunt, and I don't recommend trying to 100% this game. So yeah, there are my thoughts on Pinball Breeze, and hopefully this gives you sort of a really good sense of what this game has to offer. So if you have any further questions or want to share your thoughts on the game, then feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, then liking it would help me out a ton, and I encourage you to subscribe for more content like this. But for now, I'm off, and take care everyone.